Criterion D questions don't have a specific format in the same way that a Criterion B does, essentially just because the mark scheme changes a little bit from year to year. This defer strategy generally will probably get you between a level 5 and a 6 anyway, and then if you're smart about tailoring your answer to suit what the question is asking and making sure that you include lots of information, then you hopefully should push yourself up towards the 7-8 bracket. So the defer strategy is defer stands for define, evaluate, factor, evaluate, and a recommendation. So I'm going to talk you through each aspect now. So the D stands for define. First thing you need to do with this question is just talk. You'll be given information in the question, be able to talk a little bit about it. You're only looking at probably 2 or 3 lines because generally there isn't a lot of marks going for this. So just a very brief introduction and make sure that you're using as much appropriate scientific terminology here as you can. The next stage is evaluating. Here you want to list some general advantages and disadvantages. People kind of ask how many. You're looking at probably 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages. At this stage, it's okay just to list and maybe even give a sentence about each one. If you have time at the end, then you can go back and elaborate on them in more detail. You'll notice that the next E in the defer, or the last E, is for evaluate again. It's important that you don't try to use the same advantages and disadvantages for both of the evaluating ones. The next thing you need to do is very clearly state what your chosen factor is. The factors will be listed for you in the question, or else they'll specifically give you a factor to choose. If they don't say choose more than one factor, then make sure that you only choose one. After that, you will need to include advantages and disadvantages that are specifically related to the factor that you've chosen. Again, you're probably looking at 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages at least. You can just list them at the beginning, and then if you have more time at the end, go back and describe them in more detail. Again, just to point out, it's really important that you don't try to use the same advantages and disadvantages here as you will have used in the evaluation earlier on. The last thing that you need to do for your question is make a very obvious recommendation at the end. So for example, it could be something along the lines of, based on the advantages and disadvantages described above, I recommend that, blah. There will always be a mark going for this in every single mark scheme. So even if you don't get the question finished, you only get the first defining and evaluating done. I would still skip ahead and say, therefore it's recommended that, and say something, because you'll still get a mark for this.